Hello everyone, welcome to another new video learning Windows PowerShell in our channel Telugulo Telusko. In this particular video, we are going to talk about a new topic called aliases. So alias exist for various different reasons in PowerShell, and as we talked in the first video, PowerShell is a flexible language to be adaptable. So aliases is one classic example to define how PowerShell is giving a lot of flexibility for end users to adopt this technology. So let's go ahead and understand what an alias is all about. So an alias is an alternate name or a short name for a commandlet. So we know that PowerShell commandlet has a syntax of verb dash noun. So if you're not comfortable typing the complete command verb dash noun command, whatever it is, you can just create a shortcut for that, right? In PowerShell there are commandlets which are super long. For example, get dash net adapter info. So this is a very big command. So if you are using this command repeatedly to get some sort of information, what you can do is you can create your own shortcut that you are comfortable with, and then you can just execute the shortcut. You get the same amount of output that you are getting when you execute the actual commandlet. So aliases are a kind of shortcuts that you can create. You can create that for a commandlet, you can create that for a function, you can create that for a script and a file or an executable file. And then you can use the alias instead of the complete command name, but the output that you get will be still the same on the console. So technically the alias is executing that command in the background and getting the information for you, but it just simplifies a couple of things for you in the foreground. It just avoids you to type the complete command for you. Obviously the tab completion on your keyboard is there, but if you still tend to don't use or don't want to use it, and then you can want to create a shortcuts, yes, you can go with alias. So aliases that are available by default in PowerShell are called built-in aliases. So PowerShell, when you install, by default has some aliases inbuilt in it. So those are called as built-in aliases. And also an end user who is dealing with PowerShell can also create his own aliases, and those are called as user defined aliases. So if you just take a note right here, so user defined alias exists in their own PowerShell memory, and they are lost as soon as you close the PowerShell window. So which means whatever the aliases that you are creating exists only for that particular session, and it exists only in that particular PowerShell's memory. So you cannot share aliases between two PowerShell consoles. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you and show you how actually that works. So let me just go ahead and switch to my lab environment. So first of all, you just need to make a one thing adoptable, which is always try to use get command to find whenever you are dealing with a new command. So we know that we are going to deal with aliases, but I am not sure what exactly the command I need to use in order to deal with aliases. So what I can do is go ahead and ask the get command, prefixing the word alias with a star, which indicates it is a wildcat character, which means anything before alias and anything after alias, but the word alias should be contained in that particular command. So that is what I'm asking to PowerShell. So when I hit the return key, I get a very little information right here on the console. As you can see, I have export alias, I have get alias, I have import, I have new alias, I have set alias. So let's talk one by one what these commandlets are. As you can simply see, the export alias, you can just read the naming convention and tell what exactly it's going to do. It is going to export all the aliases that are existing in this PowerShell console. right? So when I run this particular command, whatever the aliases that are existing in this PowerShell memory is going to be exported to a file, and then get alias. So if I want to see the existing alias information on the console, I use get alias. Import alias is going to import the content from a file. For example, if you have exported it before, you can use the same file to import it back using this particular command. And then there is a new alias command which you can use to create a new alias, and then set alias command which you can use to modify an existing alias, right? Modifying an existing alias. So that's fine. So let's go ahead and run this get alias to see whatever we have in this PowerShell console. This is a fresh PowerShell console, so I haven't created any aliases yet. So whatever I'm going to get as an output when I run get alias, these are by default inbuilt within PowerShell. So these are called as built-in aliases. So let's see, there is a lot of information on the console. As you can see, the percentile it represents for each object, so we'll go there what for each object is all about. And if you see this one, you might be familiar with the CLS, which is clear host. And then you can also see this copy command, copy alias, which actually refers to the native PowerShell commandlet copy item. And then there are a couple more. You might be familiar with dir for listing the directory. The actual PowerShell native equivalent command for that is get child item. Del for deleting a file, and the actual native PowerShell commandlet is remove item. So let's go ahead and see what is going to happen. So when I run CLS in PowerShell, technically it is running something called as clear host in the background, and I get the same set of output on my console. Clear host is designed to clear everything on my console. So again, if I run CLS, I get the same set of output. And then get child item, right, is actually a commandlet which is used to get all the list of directories. So currently I'm not specifying any path, so the default location will be C Windows System 32 because that's where I am currently working. Now when I run get child item, it's going to get all the list of files and folders, DLLs, exe files which are there in that particular path. Again, I can use dir instead. Technically it is running get child item in the background, but if you are sick of typing get child item, yeah, that's when you use dir. And remember, you always have the tab completion, so get -ch and hit the tab key on the keyboard. It automatically completes the commandlet for you, and you can execute that. So when I go ahead and hit dir, I get the same output, right? And then if you are from Unix, you might be familiar with running this command ls to list the directory. I can run that too within PowerShell because ls is an alias and it is actually pointing to get child item in the background. So that's how aliases actually work. If you want to deal with some more aliases, you can always go to get alias and see what all the aliases that you have. These are by default aliases that comes with PowerShell, which means though I close the PowerShell window and reopen it back, I get all this set of information right in the console. These are not going to be lost at any given point of time. So these aliases are in every version of PowerShell. Probably there might be some new aliases which are in the latest versions, like in version 5, and probably you might see less aliases in version 1 and version 2. But The design is that even though you close PowerShell, I'm just going to close PowerShell, and then I'm going to open PowerShell once again as administrator, and I can still run dir. I get all the information. I can run CLS. I can clear the host, so I can do all sort of information. So these are built-in aliases for you. Now, user defined aliases. So user defined aliases are something that you create and which exists only in this PowerShell memory, and as soon as you close the PowerShell console, the information is lost. So let's go ahead and create a new alias. So the commandlet is straightforward, new alias, and then you can give a name, and whatever the name you would like to call this alias. For example, I can give something like LOL, and then I can give a value. A value is what an actual commandlet is. So you are going to give the actual commandlet that you want to run when you type LOL in this particular command prompt. For example, I can give get service, right? So when I hit enter, this particular LOL alias is created. So if I go back to get alias to see if that exists in my PowerShell console, I can just scroll through, and here we go. LOL is pointing to get service. That's what this arrow indicates. So now I can go ahead and type LOL, and when I hit enter, I get all the list of services, right? Now let's go ahead and open up another PowerShell console right here, right? The LOL is there in this particular console. I haven't closed it yet, so that alias exists. So if you want to take a look here, so I just scroll, LOL exists. Simultaneously, I have now another PowerShell window open right here. Now if I go ahead and type LOL, I get an error right away saying that the term LOL is not recognized as the name of the commandlet function script. So what it means is this PowerShell console is not sharing any information with this particular console. So each and every PowerShell console that you open runs in its own memory space. So this console has its own memory, and it is not sharing that memory with this particular console. So this console doesn't know what LOL is all about. And now if I want to create another alias, for example, I can actually go ahead and create another one. But remember, if you already have an existing alias that is created with this name, you cannot create one more with the same name. For example, if I want to now change that to get process, I get an error immediately saying that the alias LOL already exists. So I can use a different name, but I cannot use the same name when that variable when that alias exists. Instead, what I can do is I can use another command, which is set alias. Set alias is designed to modify the existing state of an alias. So for it now, the LOL contains get service. Now using set alias commandlet, I am changing the value to get process. So if I go ahead and hit enter, now I go ahead and type get alias. Now we can see that LOL will be now pointing towards probably you can find faster than me. So here we go. LOL is now pointing to get process. So let's go ahead and type now LOL. Instead of getting the services information, I get processes information on my computer. So these shortcuts are really handy, and as soon as I close this PowerShell window and when I open another one, this PowerShell console doesn't know what you mean by LOL. So no, I don't know what is an LOL. Okay, that's fine. So this is a kind of people think as a drawback, because you are creating your own set of aliases and then you are losing them as soon as you close your PowerShell window. Yeah, this kind of a drawback, but you always have the option to actually create your own aliases and export them to a text file, and you can import them back. Yes, but again, it's a manual effort. You need to export it to a text file and then import it back into the PowerShell console every time that you do. Yeah, that's a manual workload again. Instead, what you can do is you can have these aliases in something called as profile script. So profile script is something PowerShell looks every time you launch a PowerShell console. So what you can do in this profile script, you can document your own aliases that you want to actually load into every PowerShell memory that you open. You can actually go ahead and do that and create the profile script and then load all the aliases into that profile script, and PowerShell always take care of that profile script when it launches each and every time. So by that way you can actually address that problem. But profile scripts are something that we are going to cover in later videos, so when we go there I will definitely demonstrate how the profile scripts are going to work. Now again, let's go ahead and create one more alias so that I can actually new alias, name test, and it is actually going to be pointed to get net adapter, for example, something like this. Now when I had run test, I get my network adapter information. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Now what I can do is I want to delete this particular alias. Simply I can just go ahead and then close the PowerShell window. Automatically the alias gets deleted, but instead what you can do is you can always go ahead and export it, import it, new alias, set alias, and import alias. So essentially all these things can be covered. Let's go ahead and now export that particular alias. So let's go ahead and type get alias and then hyphen get alias, and then I will pipe it to export alias hyphen path c colon alias dot txt maybe. Now if I go ahead and open that file, for example c alias.txt, so apart from the one that you have created, all the built-in aliases that comes with PowerShell will also get exported to a text file, as you can see. And if I just scroll through, you can see the PQRST. So here we go. The test is actually pointing to get net adapter. Now if I just close this PowerShell window and open one more PowerShell console, if I type test, this console doesn't know what I'm talking about. So import alias hyphen path c colon alias dot txt. Oops, I get an error. The alias is not allowed because the alias with wget is already existing. So as you can see here, when I load that particular PowerShell console, already the built-in alias is already there, right? The built-in aliases are already there. So now the text file also has built-in aliases which are exported. Now as you can see, it is saying the write already exists, so wjb is already existing. So already the built-in aliases are actually there in the shell. So when I try to export and import them back again, I get the error. So let's go ahead and see if test is imported. Yes, test is now imported back, and then get the information of get network adapter right on the console. So this is something that you need to be aware of. So while exporting, just ensure that you are exporting only content that is needed for you and not all the built-in aliases as well. So this is how you can run into trouble, or you can ignore these error messages if you would like to, if you are familiar with what's happening in the background. So that's how aliases are actually designed. And one last thing that I want to cover here is when I say get event log and then I give log name parameter security, and when I say newest 5, I get the first 5 instances of the security event log. But now when I want to create a new alias, for example -name EVE, right, EVE for event log, and then a value, I can give get event log, but I cannot give get event log dash log name security. So this is not going to work. I can give just get event log, that works fine, but I cannot give get event log dash log name security. So parameters are not supported for creating an alias. An alias is always used for creation of a shortcut creation of a commandlet or a function or a script or an executable file, but you cannot include commandlets with parameters. So that this is one of the mistakes that people often tend to do. So when I hit enter, I get an error saying that a parameter cannot be found that matches name log name. So instead what I can do, I can give get event log, that will work fine, EVE hyphen log name hyphen security. You still get the tab completion though it is an alias, and I get all the event logs on my console screen. So these are some of the important mistakes that you need to be aware of, because people often tend to do that. And always remember to use get command whenever you are not sure about what command to be executed, and then you can just wrap that up with a wildcard character before at the end of the string, so that you get the required commandlets. So these are aliases for you within PowerShell. These are quite useful for people coming from different background. They can create their own shortcuts and then produce that functionality that they want. And finally, just remember that these aliases that you create in the console are going to get wiped out as soon as you close the PowerShell console. And again, PowerShell console doesn't share any memory space between other PowerShell consoles. So alias that you create in this session belongs to this session, and it cannot be used elsewhere. And also one final point I would like to make is these aliases are a great way to run commands within the shell, and this is not a recommended way of creating your scripts, because you might create your own alias and then execute a particular command. But when I copy that and paste it in a script and I ship it to someone else, and that particular user might not have that alias in their PowerShell console, and the script will throw an error. So never ever take the approach of documenting aliases in a script file. Always use the complete syntax. That's the best approach. So that's it for this video. If you like this video, please like and share and subscribe to my channel. It will encourage me to do more and more videos for you. Thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.